when we take a step back from the media onslaught of telling us what to think, what are the questions we should be asking ourselves to become more informed? Because it's okay to say, take a step back, take a breath,
Yeah.
but then it's a question. What
Yeah.
question should I be asking myself?
This hits very much in some of your previous work. I think there seems to be a movement towards people trusting themselves. Now, I'm not against that. However, they're trusting themselves at the expense of expertise. That's a huge problem. We have basically almost criminalized a lot of our institutions. Now, this is because, again, we're in an information age. I know that's debatable, but I think we're in an information age where there's so much information now. We think we all know the answers, and we have demonized some of the most incredible institutions in human history. Now, that is a challenge, because how do you get your information? Most people say that I've done my research. Are they trained in how to do research? Do they know how to think critically? Do they know how to review the literature? Do they know what literature is good and what literature isn't good? Do they know how to make sure you don't fall into all the various biases around the literature and around the published thinking? They don't. Most people don't. They're not trained to think that way. So there is a gap there. So the thing I would always say to somebody, if you're setting out, if I say this to my students, if you're setting out, make sure you understand what critical thinking is and how to actually deploy it. Because most people think that just Googling something and finding something printed in a magazine is research. It isn't. It's the very lowest form of research. And that means that there is a real opportunity there for your readers and your listeners and watchers to actually go around and say, okay, I'm going to spend time. And it took me 10 years. This is not trivial. To learn how to actually think critically is a tough job. It's not as hard as it used to be, but it's a tough job. Carl Sagan called it, we need to adopt the baloney detection kit. And it's lovely. And it took him 30 years.
Yeah.
So this is not easy. And it's examples, people have a go at the BBC, they have a go at various other. The BBC is still the best and most likely true source of information on the planet. Never mind in the United Kingdom, but people are always having a go at it. Very easy to have a go at it. You talk to a good journalist, and there are many good journalists out there. They'll tell you how difficult it is now to actually get a story published and get the public to read it. And that, again, I think it's linked back to what we said at the beginning. We're pregnant with a lot of this technology, Andrew. So I'm actually hopeful, but I think we need to start thinking, step back and start to think about how we think.
I'm a great believer in critical thinking. I love the meme that says every time you teach a child critical thinking, a conspiracy theory dies.
Yeah.
And I share the story that I'm very grateful that I went to an English grammar school that one of my teachers made us read a story in The Guardian and in The Telegraph. And it's The Guardian left wing and The Telegraph right wing. And you read the same story. And then the critical thinking was, and what was even better was if it was a story that you actually had some firsthand experience about, right? Play in a sports match and then read the review of that sports match. And you go, well, hang on a moment. I actually played in that match, and that's what you're writing is not. And I'm very grateful that I had that very early on.
What a lovely experience. That's fabulous. That's really good.
Well, and it taught me that the truth is a matter of perspective very early. And then I did learn what an ad hominem argument was, and a straw man argument, and cause effect issues and false equivalences. And so I'm very grateful I was taught those things, and just the basic questions: who said it? When did they say it? How did they say it? Against what criteria are they measuring it? Those simple, very basic questions to ask yourself when you're being faced with some news.